So we're about 2 minutes after. I'm going to get started. And what we're going to talk about today is, the email I sent out was what's going to replace old-fashioned membership sites. And it's really e-learning. And we've got Justin Ferriman on with us from LearnDash. Justin, you want to say hello? Make sure everybody can hear you.
Hey, Micah. Sorry, I had to take myself off mute.
No worries. You guys hear Justin okay, I would assume, right? Okay. And if you ask questions, so I see 1 or 2 questions coming in. If you ask those, by the way, we'll get to them at the Q&A section, so keep asking if you'd like, or you can wait until that section. But I'm going to kind of jump right into it here. So first, let me introduce Justin. So Justin Ferriman is a true e-learning veteran and pro, and this is what I put when I was thinking, okay, how do I introduce Justin? I wrote these bullet points: privately trained big companies to build their platforms, created the first and leading WordPress plugin for e-learning, and he's a passionate marketer and business owner. He's really enjoyable to talk to, so you guys are in for a treat. What's interesting is when I looked on his site and did some more research, this is what I actually found. So I had those simplified bullet points, but it's even better than that. So Justin's made a career out of e-learning, and he's implemented these for Fortune 500 companies globally. He's worked with the U.S. government, tons of big colleges and that sort of thing, and in the e-learning space he's just the top. LearnDash is the same, it's just the top, and so we're really, really excited to have him here. And LearnDash, this is kind of a layman's terms thing. Really, in my mind, when I looked at this, I've done membership sites for a while, and LearnDash I heard about a bunch last year at ICON. Everyone was talking about LearnDash, and so we went and looked into it, and essentially it lets you take this old-fashioned membership site and create a streamlined, tracked experience through your content. So people all the time in the past would ask me, hey, how do we make a progress bar as people go through our content? Or how do we make it so that when they complete this course, this happens? And a year or two ago, I'd say, that's a really great idea, but technology is just not quite there yet to do it easily without a lot of custom development. And so, LearnDash has these components. They let you use courses, lessons, topics, so basically ways to structure your content. And then as people go through it, you can quiz them to be sure they're retaining it. You can give them certificates. And the real advantages to you as a business owner is it's going to let your users track their progress. And we'll go through some case studies so you can see the impact of that, not only on their happiness, but financially and that sort of thing. It doesn't have to, but it can force users to go in order, kind of topic by topic or lesson by lesson, course by course. Like I said, it does the quizzes and it does the certificates. And I know I'm not doing it justice, so I am going to switch it over to Justin, and he's going to walk us through a bunch of stuff and share some of his wisdom. Again, feel free to throw questions in, and kind of when he's done or at natural breaks, we'll bring him up and we'll start the discussion. So Justin, let me make you presenter, and you can show us what you got.
All right, thank you. Let me just pull up the current slide. And can you confirm that you see my slide there?
I do. Yeah, does everybody else see that?
I'll wait a sec just because I think that take a second to calibrate. But while I'm waiting, Micah, thanks for putting this on and reaching out back actually last fall now, and Dave as well. And I know we have a mix of people that are likely on this call. There's probably a portion of you who never heard of LearnDash before, and so I want to welcome you. And there's probably some of you that are currently using LearnDash, maybe further along in your journey using the software, been with us for a while perhaps. Maybe you just started using it and you're curious to learn more about LearnDash, Memberium, and LearnDash, which we had just announced last week, the integration that Memberium has built into their solution with LearnDash. So thank you again, Micah. Thank you for everybody for coming. If I speak quickly, I apologize. I want to respect everybody's time, so I don't want to drag on and on. So before jumping into LearnDash and what it is and what it can do and features and such, maybe a better approach would be to take a minute and just talk about e-learning. It's something I'm extremely passionate about. But I think even if you're not an e-learning nerd like me, you'll get excited at the industry and, more importantly, the opportunity that's in the industry. For sake of simplicity, during my few slides here, I'm going to assume that everybody on here wants to sell a course, perhaps, be it now or maybe in the future after you get a few free courses out or some content out. And so that will be the context of my talk. But e-learning came about. Actually, the term came about in 1999. That was the first time it was used. And the use cases were pretty narrow back when e-learning first hit the scene. And of course, e-learning is anything or any educational training or course that is delivered electronically, so on a computer, today on smartphones and tablets, etc. But at the time, just a computer. If you had a computer, you could take a course. Many companies were using e-learning for courses like compliance training. HIPAA compliance, sexual harassment training, for when you're onboarding into a company. A lot of that standard training that has to happen over and over again and then be recorded, that's kind of the first use case and still used very much today with e-learning. Universities started dabbling into it as well, naturally, as it offered an additional way for students to learn the content. But today we're seeing it venture into new and exciting markets. And in the existing markets that I just touched on, it's actually just getting absolutely enormous, and the use cases are expanding exponentially. I mean, the market grows every single year. And so let's get into a little bit more of what that means. I did a quick search for online degree. And just took this screenshot, and as you can see here, it's pretty noisy, right? You have all the ads and all of these different, looks like universities offering these online degrees. Obviously, this is one area where e-learning has really had an influence. Now, if you're in the United States, you've probably seen the barrage of commercials from institutions that are advertising their online degrees, the convenience of it, how easy it is, and how nice it is to be able to earn your degree from home, a formal degree, something that was really unheard of maybe 15 years ago, to at least the level of independent study that we have today. So it's huge business. I think in the United States, the biggest player used to be University of Phoenix. At the time, University of Phoenix wasn't that prestigious. Now it's a household name. They were kind of first to blaze the trail and make it a norm, and others, I feel like, were sitting on the sideline, like Yale and Harvard, etc., waiting to see how it panned out. Well, spoiler alert, it panned out really well for University of Phoenix. I think they're reaping the benefits from getting in early, so kudos to them. So obviously, universities are using e-learning to offer what their product is, which is their courses. But it's not just these formal universities that can offer the e-learning. There's actually other platforms and businesses or organizations that are starting and doing the same thing. One of the most popular is Coursera, and then you can see a screenshot of the homepage there. And if I were to sum up Coursera in a brief sentence, it's a massive online community where you can take courses that are offered by the leading universities around the world or in the US. So Yale is on there, University of Michigan, Stanford. They're offering their courses that they would offer on campus, except in an e-learning format. Now Coursera has gone through, and they're pretty new, just a couple years old, they've gone through multiple rounds of funding and tens and tens of millions of dollars put into this program to just offer this e-learning. And just recently, they started to monetize it, because that's been the big question. How do you monetize this e-learning? And they're doing it in a different way than you would expect. So every course is free. Every course that's on their site is free to enroll, and you can take the content as you see fit at your own pace. What they did was just recently started charging for the certificate at the end of the course. And you may be thinking, who would pay for a certificate at the end of a free course? It sounds silly. What, are you going to print it off in your own printer and then frame it? And the answer is yes. A lot of people are doing this. And in fact, the first year that they did that, Coursera did that, they made over $1 million just by making the certificate, putting a price on the certificate, and so you'd have to buy it to confirm your completion. So e-learning is a real thing where people really invest themselves into the courses they're taking. It's not just for fun, even though it can be fun, or at least I think so. So that's Coursera, and obviously they're their offering is for these college universities and such, and they're expanding ways to monetize their e-learning. But it doesn't have to be just universities. The opportunity can actually go beyond just those college courses. So I'm sure many of you have heard of Lynda Com. So just like Coursera, there's a huge catalog of courses that Lynda Com offers. And they cover anything from, well, any of these subjects that you see in front of you. And they're offered by not university professors, although some of them probably are, but the e-learning courses are offered by subject matter experts. For example, you could take a business course, maybe in accounting on this on Lynda.com by somebody that is a CPA or runs their own accounting firm. So they're not necessarily formal professors, but they are industry professionals. And I hope you can see the linkage now that we're making. Maybe you're in the university field, and that's great, in higher ed. But maybe you are working in your industry, maybe one of these industries, and then excuse me. And so you can see how you can offer these courses just based on your experience in your field. So Lynda.com is growing and growing as well. I'm sure you've seen in the United States commercials for it. They're showing pretty regularly, again, showing how much e-learning has evolved from those original use cases in 1999, where it's just compliance training and a little bit here or there, to now where it's big business. People are selling their courses and people are seeking the courses, so that maybe more importantly. Again, these first few examples I'm giving, these are just catalog approaches, but that's not the only way to offer your courses. And you'll see Lynda.com, Coursera, Skillshare, edX, or just a couple others, they all have massive libraries of courses. And that is not necessarily the way that you need to go. And usually they cover a lot of topics. One of my favorite sites that's similar to these is Codecademy. Codecademy is just like them, and they have online courses. Most of them are free, but they focus strictly in one niche. So they're not trying to spread themselves too thin to be an expert in every single course topic that's out there. They say, okay, this is what we want to offer our courses on, and here are all our courses that pertain to coding. So there's all kinds of different courses on coding. If you ever have an interest, you should certainly take a course. I have, and they're a lot of fun. But what's nice about what Codecademy is doing is they've narrowed their focus, and in doing so, they benefit because they become experts in their field. Just like University of Phoenix got the reputation or is benefiting from the fact that they got into the market early, Codecademy is benefiting because they've really created a great brand and name for themselves in this particular niche for e-learning. So that's something to think about if you are planning on selling courses. How can you get into a niche or become that niche brand name, or at least be in the conversation whenever somebody brings up your industry-specific courses. Again, all these examples, these are big companies. They're doing really well, as you can imagine. They're all offering really large course catalogs. That's just one approach, but that's an extremely difficult approach to have a massive catalog from the beginning. So, I wish I could share the more specifics about this example, but I didn't have permission, but I can still tell you. Last year I provided consulting for a site. It was run by one person, well, maybe two. I think he had a secretary as well. He was selling one course, not a huge catalog. He was selling one course, and it was in the field of, or it was, the purpose of the course was to prepare you for a certification. Excuse me, I had to take a sip of water there. It was to prepare you for a certification in his field. Okay, so this one person selling one course on certification prep, and they generated over $500,000 last year, and they're continuing to grow from one course. It's pretty incredible. So you don't have to have these huge course catalogs like those other sites. You can even offer just one course. So all this in mind, there's all these sites out there. There's universities now offering these courses. There's these catalog brochure of courses where people are browsing and taking free courses and paying for certificates and creating and taking courses to learn how to code in certain niches, or even people that are selling courses, just one course. How does this relate to LearnDash? Okay, so LearnDash makes it possible for anybody that has a WordPress-based site to create and sell their courses online as well. So if you wanted to, in your industry, in your area of expertise, create a course and put a price on it and sell it, you could do that. And that's what LearnDash enables. Now, there's more to it than that, but in a sentence, that's pretty much what LearnDash will enable you to do. If you're curious about LearnDash and kind of what it looks like, there's a demo site. I don't want to go into it right now, but there's a video on there as well where I kind of go over an overview of the basic features or the core features, and you can also toy around on the site and see more or less how things are laid out in LearnDash. But I will go over a brief overview, and if some of you already have LearnDash, I apologize because you've seen this before. But this is essentially the LearnDash menu item in WordPress. So if you've seen WordPress or you have a WordPress site, this is familiar to you as well. LearnDash has courses, and then when you create a course, you can create as many lessons as you'd like for that course, right? And underneath lessons are topics. So on that image to the right, course content, this is auto-created by LearnDash as you create your content. You can see the lessons there, and then the items that are below, like for learning the musical dynamics, the items below are topics. In addition, you can offer quizzes, and you can assign the quiz to the course level, which is that piano final quiz that you see at the very bottom. But you can also assign quizzes to the lessons and to the topics. So you can require somebody passes a quiz before they move on and move on in a lesson or a topic. And we have some other functionalities like grouping and assignments, reports, and then various settings. So this is the core LearnDash offering, and of course there's the add-ons that we offer as well. For example, if you wanted to have a badge or points awarded for completing lessons, that would be something that could be added easily with the add-ons that we have. And if you want to use Infusionsoft with LearnDash, you would use Memberium because they built in that add-on into their solution. So I went through it really quick. If it's the first time that you've seen this and you still have questions, by all means, you can ask them now, or you can reach out to me. You can just use the contact form on the LearnDash site, and I'd be happy to answer them for you.
Yeah, Justin, let me bring up one or two of the questions, and real quick before I do bring up these questions, I just want to second most everything Justin was saying. It's one of the examples that's interesting to me is we homeschool our kids, and there's a site called Khan Academy, K-A-H-N. And if you guys go and look at that, I mean, that's an incredible example of a learning management. And it just gives you an idea of where everything's going. Because if you think of all the schools around the country, around the world, and all those, for example, math teachers trying to teach one lesson versus somebody teaching the best math lesson ever, and then giving it to everybody. And we're just getting started on it, but I'm amazed because with the same stuff that Justin has in his system as far as the points and the badges and the quizzes and all that kind of stuff, my kids are going through school. Like they're passing grades sitting at a computer quicker than they would at school. And we do other stuff to get them to social, but as far as a learning system, I look at, people would say, oh, live is better than e-learning, and I think, well, it depends on the day, it depends on the instructor, it depends on if they're having a good day or if they care, versus e-learning, you can take 10 takes and get your very, very best presentation of that content. So I know that's kind of a general thing, but this is huge, and it's only getting bigger. And as far as the future, I don't know, Justin, where you'd say we're at in this whole trend. Is it still the very, very beginning? Do you think it's the middle, adolescence?
It's not. It's adolescence for sure. So in 2020, the market's projected to be between anywhere $38 to $50 billion. That's the e-learning market. 51% is projected to be, all of that is projected to be in the United States.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so let's grab a couple of these little questions. So one of them, and I mean, a couple of the simple ones, guys. Yeah, we are recording the webinar. So real quick, Justin, can LearnDash handle Flash content?
I suspect that is in the context of Adobe Captivate files, and maybe I'm getting too techy for that, but that's usually a Flash output. And that is a whole different area. Yes, if it's Adobe Captivate, it certainly can. They'd have to be published to Experience API, also known as Tin Can API. Pardon my extremely nerdy talk here, guys. But if it's just like a Flash video, I think there's standard plugins on for free on WordPress.org that you could insert that into a lesson.
Yeah, and just to make it clear for you guys, LearnDash, even when I got into it initially, and we got into it doing a project for Alex Mandosian, like a pilot project, and so he was, on the front line of things. I don't know how many of you are familiar with him, but he's like, the godfather of a lot of this internet marketing stuff. And one of the things I noticed when I first started using LearnDash, I was a little confused myself, like, what does it do exactly? Do I put a video in there? Do I not? Essentially, it's saying, here's a WordPress post or a page, and you can put anything you want on there. If it's a video, if it's written content, if it's a PDF download. So think of it like WordPress, whatever content you want to put on that page. But ultimately, when they're done with the content, it's them saying, hey, I'm done, and marking it complete. So it could be video, I assume, like Justin's saying, it could be Flash. The way I look at it is any content you could put on a WordPress page, essentially you could use with LearnDash. Is that accurate, Justin?
Yep, that is 100% true. So, we built that like that on purpose because, it's built to be maximizing compatibility across the themes that are out there. As everybody that uses WordPress know, there's all these great themes available, and so we wanted to make LearnDash applicable and not pigeonhole anybody into just one theme. So that's why we went about it with that approach.
Cool. A couple other things. One question, can you integrate objects from another LMS? And maybe, Bruno, you can tell us which, but Justin?
That's that gets really technical, because if that could be in the relation to like SCORM, which is an old protocol for for e-learning and those particular objects. So if it's at that level, LearnDash doesn't support SCORM at all, so that wouldn't be anything that could be done. But I suspect there's a lot more to that question than probably can be entered into a text chat. And so if I believe you said, Bruno, if you want to reach out via our contact form with maybe your specifics, I could certainly address those.
Yeah, and I'll comment on it just a little bit from an overall. If you were a client of mine, Bruno, and you asked about that, I'd kind of wonder why, just because there's going to be, I would guess, a ton of advantages to putting it all just in LearnDash. You're going to get that nice smooth flow. Everything's integrated automatically without too much work. So yeah, I mean, reach out to Justin and ask, and I'm sure he can figure it out. But for the rest of you guys, I would kind of be thinking of rebuilding on LearnDash. And I should mention that for that client I was just talking about, and actually for a couple of our case studies we're going to go over, it was that same thing as far as these people already have a membership site. The content's already there, and we weren't trying to work LearnDash into it. We looked at what they had and realized it would be a lot easier just to kind of rebuild it on LearnDash. And it's funny, Justin, I don't know if anyone else uses LearnDash as a verb, but we started using it as a verb, like, oh, you got a membership site, let's LearnDash that and make it more useful.
That's the first I've heard of that, but I think that's the ultimate of any company, right? Become the Kleenex of WordPress LMS. That's pretty funny.
I'll push it for you. But yeah, just saying, like, if you guys have a site, you might look at redoing it, because if you think of what a site is, typical sites, they've got whatever content, and so instead of trying to work with all your old stuff, I would just copy that page content into a WordPress page, and we've done that for a bunch. Like I said, I'll go into it in our case studies, but it's kind of fun. Let's see what else. To follow up on the custom players question, I would love to use EVS players on this LMS. So I think what he's saying is, can you use any video player you want? And I think so, because as long as it fits into WordPress, right?
Yeah, so the restrictions for LearnDash as far as video and audio and media or anything of that nature is going to be WordPress. So it just adopts whatever WordPress permits.
Okay. And one question, and guys, hang with us. It says, are you going to talk about the integration with Infusionsoft and Memberium and all that? And we absolutely are. We just wanted to cover in general, like what is, what's this whole e-learning thing? What does LearnDash do exactly? And then we'll take it a little further. Let me just check and see what other questions we have for Justin, and then I'll show you some case studies where they integrate with Infusion and all that. I don't know if there's anything else specific to LMS, and Andrew, in a little while, you can kind of help us go on and look at some of these. But let me switch over, and we'll talk about some specific Infusionsoft cases for a couple of minutes. Make myself presenter. All right, so case number one, this is the Infusionsoft core concepts. So for those of you who are here because of Justin from the LearnDash side and you're not really familiar with Infusionsoft, I'm going to show it to you in just a minute, but just to give you a general idea, and essentially most Infusionsoft users have Infusionsoft to automate marketing and sales. So they're looking to scale up their business. They are all, I wouldn't say they're all marketing savvy, they're all trying to be marketing savvy, and most of them are because they've got good established businesses and all that. And so just to give you an idea of what we're trying to do, let me grab a swig of water, one sec. Okay, so you guys see this core concepts thing. Let me go to this window here. Okay, so here is one of my sites now, and I'm not logged in, and this is Justin's examples of those huge libraries of content. That's what I used to have. There's like 400 pages on here about Infusionsoft, and when I went through and redid it recently, I decided, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to put just the core concepts, and we have our member meeting recordings, and then we have these master approaches to Infusionsoft, which is where we interview some of the main players in the Infusionsoft space. So to give you an idea of what you can do with, let's say, WordPress and Infusionsoft, and then I'll show you how this ties into LearnDash. For example, when people go to my member meeting recordings, they get a page like this, and if they go down to any of them, each is blocked off, so they can see the titles, but they can see that, oh, I can't actually join unless I click here and I sign up and whatever. And with the master approaches, which are these interviews, here's the home page where they can opt in, but if they click on any of them, like I clicked on Tyler here, what you'll see is it pops up an opt-in. So right where the video should be, it asks for an opt-in. So a lot of people, when you talk about having a ton of content, the people who are using Infusionsoft are really trying to leverage that content. They're trying to use teasers to get people into courses. They try to have little preview videos and that kind of thing, and that's kind of what you're seeing here. And if I were to click on start course for these core concepts, it essentially just says, sorry, you can't get in, or at least right now we're waiting, right? So this is an idea of a really simple marketing site. Used to have a ton of content, and all I really did is slim it down, and then I put this piece here into LearnDash. So let me grab my LearnDash window, which is, this one here. So here's a member who I invited, and this gal is actually an ICP. So those of you not familiar with that, it's an Infusionsoft certified partner, essentially. So she's pretty smart, and she didn't do the course. So I can see she didn't do anything. And here's a different guy right here who did the course. So this gal who's an ICP who didn't, part of the reason she didn't is she didn't want to start at the beginning. And when she reached out to me to say, hey, why can't I watch just the reporting and dashboards? I just said, oh, you need to start at the beginning. And she says, well, I already know that stuff. So I said, okay, we'll pass the quiz then. Because if you go to this one, main navigation, there it is, and you can see the progress bar is not started for her, and she hasn't done the quiz. If she goes into the quiz, it's just going to ask her 6 real short questions. So for me, what this says, I've been training on Infusion for a long, long time, and there's some difficulties. It's a big software. If you show somebody one thing, the whole thing's so interrelated that you can almost not really hurt them, but you can't quite tell them one thing without telling them all the pieces it touches, because it's a network or a web of stuff. So I just said, you can skip through this if you want. And this guy, though, who did it, just to show you this, so he did it. This is a different user, by the way. I loaded 2 windows in here. But he's all done. They're all marked off. And in his case, he's got, and let me just grab the right window for it. Yeah, that one right there. So he's got this tag. So the whole idea is when he finishes the course, there it is, Infusionsoft Core Concepts finished, we give him a tag. And for those of you who know Infusionsoft, that means I can trigger something off. And in this case, what I did is I gave him a few bonus interviews. So if you look here, we talked about these interviews, and you can see there's 3. Well, when they finish the course, it automatically bonuses a few more. The most recent Ultimate Marketers essentially gives them like the high power content. So there's a lot of different things you can do. It's not just guiding them through, but you can incentivize them. And to show you what that looks like on the back end, where we did it right here, here's my courses. So I did the core concepts, and then my theory of automation is an old course that I had that I'm moving into LearnDash. And again, I had it, it was fine, but it's just not as impactful as it would be in LearnDash. And I'll show you in the second case study part of what I mean by that. But when I have my core concepts course, if I click into that, it essentially looks like this. Here's my content, and I'm in text mode. You wouldn't have to be, you could be in visual. So it's going to say, you know, sorry you're not a member if, and these are shortcuts. So this is the Infusionsoft stuff. I'm saying if you have this tag, which says you have the course, it'll say, hey, go ahead. And on the screen here, keep in mind it shows all the options, all the content. And if not, it'll say sorry, and it'll give them a sales message. So this is part of what we're doing with Infusion is we're saying based on who's logged in, based on the tags they have and all that kind of stuff, what are we going to show them? And this is, again, this is the course. If I scroll down in here, what I can see down here, this is the specific Memberium integration just for LearnDash. And so it says on completion of this section, execute the following actions. And we said, go ahead and apply this tag, which is why this guy got this tag here, and also redirect them. So we sent them back to a specific page when they finish the course. And I think in our case, it's just a congratulations. We got to add the certificates in that. But this is the other piece of Memberium inside of WordPress. So this is content protection, basically saying tied to Infusion. So unless they have this tag in Infusion, they don't see this page. And again, when they're done, they're going to go to a page, they're going to get a tag. And so this is how we're integrating in. You use all that LearnDash structure, and then wherever you want, if it's them passing a quiz or completing a certain lesson or whatever it is, then you can run actions back to Infusion, which could be anything. Like I said, in our case, we actually unlock a few extra bonus videos for them as an example. Now, the content itself, in the case of this core concepts, I just have lessons. We talked about how you can have lessons and topics within them. You don't have to have topics within them. So I just have the lessons themselves, and in the lesson is where I actually put my video content. This is just a Vimeo video ID, but it's the same thing here. I go down and I say, well, what do I want to do when it's done? I want to redirect to a page. It's got to be protected for these people. And essentially what's now happening is I can go ahead and publish all my content. And if people stumble on it while browsing online, that's fine, because it's just going to sell to them if they're not logged in or if they don't have it yet. And then once they do buy, it walks them through it step by step. And this guy who did the training, he was really stoked. He's used Infusion for a while as well, but he got a lot of value out of it, I think, because I forced him to go through it in order. And I don't mean that in a rude way, but it's, if he decides to jump to video 5 because he thinks it's interesting, he's skipping all that content and all those nuggets. And the gal who's an ICP, a partner, I thought it was really funny that she didn't go through it because she says, oh, I know all that already. But she always asks basic questions, right? So you can imagine your users typically are going to skip around in your content unless you force them to go in order. And then they're going to ask questions that would have been answered if they went in order, right? So there's a couple reasons for this. Let's see. So that is case study number 1, the Infusionsoft core concepts. And the whole purpose of that, again, is that it's technical, hard to understand, especially for first timers, because it's not just learning new software. It's all like it integrates directly into business. So you have to understand the business strategy behind why you're using the software and how it all relates. Another case study here is this guy, Heath Waters. And we helped him set up a virtual tennis academy thing. And he's another example where he had content. He's been internet marketing for a while. I can't remember if he said like 10 years, but a really long time. He was one of the pioneers for tennis online. And then he kind of went dormant. And so when I first met with him at the beginning of December, he was saying, you know, I'm just frustrated because my content is better than other people's, but they make more money. I see these guys doing these tennis launches, and they do this huge launch. You know, they have good marketing, but the content is just not that great. You know, and so he was coming into it from that perspective of, I've got the best content. How do we show people that, right? And so let me show you his site a little bit. And I'm not going to say that the you know, the sales copy or the marketing or whatever on the site is the best thing in the world, but the course itself, is actually really, really effective. And sorry, it's one more window away. That one. Okay, here we go. So here's his site. This is his homepage, and like I said, it's, you know, the content itself is kind of funny. He's got a little video here, and I think it froze because I've been on the page too long. But the video just walks them through what they're going to get, and this is a regular Optimized Press sales page. When they click to buy, it just goes to a lame-looking Infusionsoft order form, and I don't mean that disrespectfully. I'm just saying we didn't put a lot of effort into these things, and he knows that. And he, by the way, gave me full permission to show you everything here. So anyways, it's a very simple, like, let's use Optimized Press, let's send them to an order form. When they do log in, or I should say when they buy, here's essentially what happens is they buy, this is Infusionsoft in the campaign builder, and it pushes them into a new customer sequence. And we used to have something here where we were actually making them wait, that's why it says holding, but ultimately it puts them into this sequence here. And this does a couple things. It sets their password, applies a tag, sends them their member login details, it removes a tag, which is probably removing like a prospect tag. And then he does something I think is interesting here, and this integrates to LearnDash actually. So he says, let me give them, you know, I'll send them into the site, and then I'm going to wait a little bit, and then I'm going to ask them to upload a video of their current forehand. And I'm even going to send them instructions on how to use an app to do that, because in LearnDash, we talked about, oh, you have to watch this video before you proceed. There's other stuff though. You could say you have to upload this file before you proceed. And so what he was having his students do is you have to upload a clip of your forehand in tennis, right? And then he critiques it and all that kind of stuff. So he's taking it, I think that's something I'm seeing more and more where people, you know, they say, yes, there's one-to-many content I'm going to push out, but as part of this, you know, being a member, you either get a critique certificate, some people call it, so you get like a 30-minute certificate where we'll critique your whatever. And in other cases, you know, for your business, it could be we'll critique your business plan, we'll critique your website, whatever. In his case, it's just that tennis thing. So anyways, when it does this, what we first ask them to do is we ask them to accept the terms and conditions. So if I go back to the campaign for a second, we're saying, I'm going to give you all this, but when they go into the site, they can't actually get to any of the content until they read and accept the terms and conditions. And then once they do, it gives them their content. So just to kind of go back to the beginning of this story. So we built this whole thing, and it took a minute, took maybe 2 weeks. And he had the content, by the way. He had good content. So when he came to me saying, oh, here's my content, I just need to structure it, I thought, oh, this is awesome. You know, we go into LearnDash, we throw some courses and all this kind of stuff and throw the content in. It'll work great. And to give you an idea, it did work great. So this is me logged in as an admin. And you can see as an admin, it shows, okay, you've done all the courses. You've done laying the mental foundation, the physical, the application. And this is called brain-based forehand. So this is another case where he's saying, I'm going to do a really good job approach to get them all the info. But you know what? There's 80 videos in this course. And so if he just gave them 80 videos, they're not going to be able to get through it, right? If I tried to cheat, so if I was new and I tried to cheat and skip to laying the physical foundation, LearnDash would interrupt me and say, oh, you need to finish this one first. Same for the last one. So it makes them go in order, not just on the courses, but the lessons themselves, it makes them go in order. So when I go to laying the mental foundation, whoops, clicked on it. Let me go back. Okay, anyway, same place. It would make me do getting started. And if I tried to skip ahead, if there wasn't a green checkbox here or here, and I tried to skip ahead, it would essentially say, oh, you got to go back to the beginning. And within each of these, actually, there are more courses. So if I click, I think it's right here. So if I were to click on, for example, I think it's under Train the Brain. Yeah, it would give me, okay, here's the, in this case, lessons, right? So here are the courses, here are the courses, and then I go into a course, and I'll just kind of click through this actually. So I go into a course, and it says, okay, here are the lessons in the course, and I go into a particular lesson, like getting started, and it says, here are the topics. And if I go into topic, this is the content itself. So there's him, and then you have to complete it, and you go to next and whatever. But here are some of the results of this whole thing. So number one, I think it gave him a lot of confidence in selling. When we went in, and I hid the last name, so there's nothing sensitive here, but these are his orders at the end of December. So from the 20th to the, and we got a couple of extras in there, to the 30th. These things I think are his tests because he does a big old discount. But from the 20th to the 30th, he got about 40, and I'll edit this criteria and show you guys. This is Infusionsoft, by the way. For those of you guys who have not seen this, so I'd say purchase date is, whatever, December 1 to December 31. And you'll see he's got all these orders in here. And it was funny because I was talking to him earlier and I said, you know, is it okay if we say that you made this much? And he said, I didn't make $10,000 in 30 days. I made $11,500 in 10 days, right? And that's from the 20th of December to the 30th. And then he shut it down for a minute. He actually just turned it off because he wanted to see how these people did in the course. And as soon as we did this, we decided, okay, brain-based forehand, now let's go make brain-based serve and let's upsell them. And that's a feature of Infusion. So when they come to this brain-based forehand membership site, it's controlling how they get this stuff. And even though I said LearnDash makes them do it sequentially, we're taking it a step further and we're actually delaying it. So we're saying you can't just click through even if you're really good. I'm going to give you a couple lessons and then I'm going to make you wait. And then I'm going to give you a couple more and then I'm going to make you wait. And he does this the whole time. So part of it is, you know, they can go at their own pace for the most part, but he slows them down, throttles them a little bit. And if they hit a page where they have to wait, it simply says, you know, hey, you're not quite, what does it say exactly? It's some message that says, this content will be released in a few days. In the meantime, you know, go back and do some more practice on the previous lesson or whatever. So it kind of paces them. And you can mix, you know, making them go in order with delays. And ultimately, though, at the end, and this is if they cancel, you'll automatically remove all that kind of stuff. So Infusion's all integrated to control access. But what's really exciting about this is the fact that the people went in and they had such a good experience. And he's created a bunch of raving fans, ultimately. We talk about, oh, he made a couple $1,000s. That's fantastic. But more to the point, all these people are saying, when is your next course ready? We want to get in. Do you have an affiliate program? And all those kinds of things. Those are the questions he's getting, not just, yeah, the course was good, thanks. But it's, this is the best course I've ever been through. You know, how do we get more? What can we do to help you promote it and all that kind of stuff? And to give you kind of a taste on the far side of this, and this is in the exact same site, and this gives you an idea of the power of Infusionsoft. In that same site where we're delivering content, we can invite affiliates in. So we have a membership level for affiliates. And when they come in, they can see their unique affiliate links. We say, you know, here's for the free video series, here's for the sales page, here's direct to the order form, here's some additional things like your banners. So here's some email swipe copy. And for those of you who use Infusion, you're probably understanding this a little bit better. For everyone else who is from the LearnDash market, what we're essentially saying is, oh, this course is fantastic. How do we get other people to help us sell it? You know, how do we get these other pro tennis instructors who want to make money off this course and think, oh, that's a great course. Let me invite my students, right? And can I make some money by inviting my students? And that's what this does, is it says, yeah, sure, if you want it, here's email copy. You know, we say here's some subject line ideas, here's the body copy, and it's all pre-embedded with their unique link. So this is this person's ID in this case. And what we were doing earlier today, and well, I'll just say we were starting to structure a whole JV launch from within here. So he knows it sells, he knows it works, and now he's just going to get all the other tennis people to help him promote it, and it's based on the quality of the course. So again, the point here is, could a sales funnel be better? Sure, but because of the quality, it's really going to sell itself. Here's the banners, by the way. So here's your affiliate banners, and they're all embedded. So one of his affiliates could just say, oh, I'm going to take this stuff here, I'm going to go put it on my site, this banner appears, it's all tracked to my affiliate record. And there's more to it on the Infusionsoft site, but just to give you an idea, when you add Memberium to WordPress, you get full interactivity with Infusionsoft, not just for customers, but also for affiliates and that kind of thing. So there's more than one reason to integrate it all together. And let me see what else I've got. Yeah, this is where we started doing the affiliate launch dashboard, where we can say, you know, if you're going to do a launch, here's what you do. Day 1, send this, you know, all the way through day 11 for the cart close, and we're going to spice it up with some graphics and that kind of thing. But you can see over here, it says, click here for your affiliate resources, and it also says, you're not a member of our brain-based forehand. Get more details here. And obviously this person's an affiliate, so they may not buy. But the point is that you can have all these teasers and selling, and this is all in one site, right? So this is what Memberium does, is it brings the Infusionsoft data into the WordPress site. And then you match that with what Justin is doing and structuring the content and that sort of thing. You get a pretty powerful combination. And this affiliate who he's going out to now has a giant list. He mentioned it's probably the biggest list in the tennis space, And it was because this guy had heard good things from his students about the course. And by the way, he had 2 refunds only of all those people. One of the guys pulled his hamstring, and so he was out. And the other guy actually watched all the content and then asked for a refund. And we could tell he watched all of it, because obviously when we go in as him, all the courses are marked off. So it's not that people didn't use it, is what I'm saying. Nobody bought this and then just didn't do anything with it and was upset. So this is a really, really great kind of stick campaign for your stuff, which only reinforces the sales and the affiliates and all the rest of that stuff. So hopefully this makes sense a little bit of how Infusionsoft might play into this, and there's probably more I could show, but just to give you a couple ideas, let's go into some of the questions for a little bit. And Justin, if you have anything to chime in, you're welcome to as well. I'm just going to take a couple of these.
Sure, that was a very thorough overview. I enjoyed watching that as well. Infusionsoft is obviously super powerful, but one thing I think is happening here, especially with this site and similar sites to it, as well as that individual I had referenced earlier in the presentation that is doing well just selling one course, is maybe 5-6 years ago there was a big influx of membership sites, people selling memberships. And actually memberships are extremely difficult to sell, right? There's something, membership seems like forever, but a course, that's easier to comprehend. You pay a price for a course and you take the course. Now you may be billed a recurring bill rate, but it's still for a course. And I think what this whole shift to courses and this whole everybody's becoming more comfortable with the idea of taking an online course, purchasing online courses, that it becomes easier to buy the content than if it was advertised as a membership site that contains a lot of content. So if anything, it's removing a hurdle, I think a mental hurdle that some people have. It takes a service, like a membership service, and turns it into a product. And I think that is resonating with people, and that's, I think, one of the reasons, certainly not the reason, but one of the reasons why this case study individual did so well, and why his affiliates think that they're going to do well too, because it just makes sense.
Yeah, it's funny because the people talk about spray and pray marketing, but I think a lot of people do spray and pray content creation and membership sites, right? I'm going to make all this content, people are just going to love it. Versus LearnDash really kind of holds their hand and guides them, and when you add in the badges and the credits and all that, that's a nice experience. It's kind of corny, you go in and you watch a video and it pops up and says, hey, you got 10 points, but still it feels a little good, better than nothing, right?
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny how at first, what's this? And then after a while, you're like, I need to earn another badge.
That's right. I'm almost to 100 points. And one guy, man, there's so many questions. We'll go over a little, guys, so we'll get all the questions. But I just want to mention one thing. And this, one of our partners, Mike Weiss, and Justin, you know of him a little bit as well. But he said something to us a couple weeks back that I thought was really interesting. He was kind of calling it, and I don't know if this is his term or not, but he was calling it return on education. So people talk about return on investment and this kind of thing. But when you buy a membership site, unless you actually do whatever it said all the way to completion, you may not get any value. And so what he was kind of talking about with these badges and that is that there's going to be this new thing where people are going to demand a return on their education, not just access to your content, but what is it doing for me? And what's really funny is the perceived value is in that certificate, just like the site Justin mentioned, where they'll pay for the certificate. In the future, people are going to be able to, let's say you take my Infusionsoft course, big deal. But what if I give you a nice certificate and a badge that you can go put on your site that says, I'm certified in Mastery Infusionsoft, whatever kind of thing. There's a value there, maybe kind of an abstract value, but that's what people are going to start seeing is that value, and they're going to start putting it on their LinkedIn profile and that kind of thing. And then when an employer is looking at, do I hire this person or this person, they both have a college degree, well, person number two, it looks like they've also taken all these courses and they have all these certificates. And honestly, your employer is probably not going to go and say, who are these companies they have these certificates for? Like, how valid is this? And I don't mean this in a bad way, but I'm just saying, like Justin said, the people teaching those courses may not always be professors. They just may be subject matter experts. So if someone's looking at you versus someone else, and I know most of us have businesses, so even in that context, if they're looking at your profile on LinkedIn versus a competitor's, and they see that you have all these different certifications and all that kind of stuff, that's going to raise your chances. And that's part of where this is going with the certificates, and that is, what's the point of all this membership content? Obviously use it, but a lot of people are going to be out there for the certification, for the badge or whatever, and so selling that is a great idea, or having it at least as part of it. It doesn't have to be the main thing. Let me just kind of, man, they're big questions. So, Visual Composer. Someone's asking about Visual Composer, which I assume is a WordPress theme, and we already used.
That's a plugin, Micah. That's a plugin that lets you, create different layouts and posts and pages. And yes, LearnDash is compatible with the Visual Composer, but I assume it is with Memberium as well, because Memberium's just doing the protection piece.
Yep. Steve asks, can I make my course free but charge for this certificate of completion? If so, do I need any software to do so? And I would think, Steve, you can reach out to us or to Justin on either of our sites, but I think that might be a Memberium tie-in where they can earn the course, but we would run a tag that essentially, they can earn the certificate, but we would run something that basically says, start selling this person that certificate when they've earned it. Not give it to them, but sell it. And then once they buy, go ahead and release it. We might have to figure out the best way to do that, but in theory, that would be my guess.
There's a way to do that just on a LearnDash side too. Not as sophisticated with all the tags, but it can be done. So that's certainly some. I think it's a viable way to start monetizing courses. In fact, one of the things I recommend is that if you're creating your courses, that you offer one of them, or the first one, or a valuable one for free first, because then you already have an audience. People have to register for your site, right? So that's how you get the lead, and then you can cross-sell, upsell, or when you eventually do get a course out that you want to charge, you already have an audience there. So and then, or you could charge for the certificate, right? So you can get all the leads and charge for a certificate.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. So is the LearnDash fee one-time or annual, Justin?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. What did you say, Micah?
Sorry, is the LearnDash fee one-time or annual? That's a question coming in.
It's an annual license, and it's optional to renew, so you can buy LearnDash and then not renew. You can still use it. You just won't receive support or updates anymore.
Okay. And then Bruno asks, can you assign a tag in Infusionsoft when each individual item is purchased? And yeah, you can do that. Looking through some of these other ones. So one question from Anne-Marie, when trying to make people watch all the videos or content before going to the next section, how does LearnDash stop people from just clicking through the videos one to the next? Do they have to stay on a page for a certain amount of time, or is there some other way it checks they completed the video? And Justin, I'll let you jump on that first.
Yeah, there's a few ways that can be addressed. One, probably the most crude way, is there's a way in LearnDash to set a timer on the lesson, so you can prevent somebody from clicking Mark Complete to move on until that timer runs out. And if you put that timer the same length of the video, then they won't be able to move on. They might as well watch the video. Of course, they don't have to, but so that's one way. The other way would be with Tin Can API. It gets a little bit more advanced, but Grassblade LRS, which is a learning record store, which is what holds Tin Can API statements. That integration allows you to prevent the Mark Complete from even being triggered until the video has been watched in its entirety. So those are the two ways.
Yeah, and if I could maybe throw in a third, in my case anyways, I made it so they can't move on until they pass the quiz. And so that kind of helps, because then it's like, yeah, you could not watch the video and try to take the quiz, but if you don't know the info, you're not getting through. Is that safe to say, Justin?
That's a great.
Yeah, and I just kind of, Anne-Marie, I just kind of cut to the chase as far as like, what do I really want them to do? Do I want them to finish the video? Do I want them to stay on the page for 5 minutes? Really, I want them to understand it, and so that's why I was kind of quizzing them to see if they were getting it, And that in my course, when I said that ICP or that partner, she could have passed the quizzes and skipped ahead to the video. But without passing the quizzes, she was never getting to the deeper content. So if that's what you want, yeah, like Justin said, you could do things that base it on the time or the video, or even with quizzes as well. So next question, I want to set up some free courses where people can go through all the content except the final exam, which they have to pay for. And so tell me a little bit more, Justin, when you say you can do that in LearnDash, Can you explain where that is exactly? I didn't see a setting for that, but it might be because I'm using some more stuff in Infusionsoft.
It's just in the way that the course is set up. So if you had a course, you can have, there's multiple ways, but you could have all your lessons in one course, and you can separate that final quiz into its own course container itself, and then somebody can purchase it that way. And you can set up that course to be a prerequisite of the course that you want to offer for free. So nobody can just go in and take that course or purchase that quiz ahead of time and then try to take it. It won't even be shown to them because they have to take all the free lesson content first.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Those of you who've used LearnDash, that probably would make sense too. For those of you who haven't, you can just reach out to Justin for more info, but that does make sense. So one question, what sort of community interaction is there? She says, I don't see where anyone can ask questions or users can interact with each other. And it sounds like, Justin, you guys have a forum integration, right?
The two main ways that that's generally facilitated is through a forum. So bbpress.org, it's literally the letter B, and then press.org, created by the same folks who are behind WordPress. They created the most popular forum software for WordPress, and we have an integration with that. So you can associate forums to courses, and somebody can't post in that forum or interact in that forum unless they're enrolled in the course. So that's one way. And the other way is just by the comments like that you would see on a blog post. You can activate those for LearnDash lessons and topics, and people can leave their feedback or ask questions and interact with each other there as well. So those are the two main ways.
Yeah, and in a lot of these cases I showed you guys, we kind of stripped it out. But yeah, there's other stuff you can add. We were trying to simplify. Another question, can you make variable quizzes, different questions to make sure they don't just memorize the answers, or maybe give a different variation of questions each time they take the quiz? Justin?
In some aspects. So you can create a question bank and deliver a percentage of the questions to the end user, and you can randomize those as well. So if somebody goes through, say you have a quiz and you have 2 attempts specified, they go through the first time, they fail, and they take it again, they'll be presented with another random selection of that bank. Now they could have a couple repeat questions, but if you had 100 questions and your quiz was 10 questions long, obviously the chances go up that they'll get something different.
Yeah, but you have different types of answers, right? That was one thing when looking at Mike's site. He really tried, he wasn't trying to sell a course, he was trying to kind of show off the functionality, and so he had tried like one of each question type, like multiple choice or where you have to select multiple and all that. But it seemed pretty robust, right, Justin? The quizzing, like I was just scratching the surface, it seemed.
Yeah, it can get, it can get as advanced as you really want it. I think you can, so there's matching, you can drag and drop, there's fill in the blanks, as well as just like a free text, like entering in a free text answer, not an essay. We're working on that piece, but yeah, there's a variety of question types, and that's actually, we included that intentionally. I think from an instructional design standpoint, again, e-learning nerd talk here, but there's just too much multiple choice and true or false, and that gets people thinking about the content one way. When you have different types of questions, they need to think and recall the content in a different way, using different parts of their brain, and then in order to pass or answer that question. So there's 7 types right now, different question types that can be used.
Nice, nice. So another question that comes in is, I'd like to create a library of training for basic members, then to create advanced courses that are upsells. How do I create a page with code that shows only the library material? And I think you could do this with both because like when I showed, and I think it was this window. So when I go back to course selections, Catherine, I can see these things, but it could easily be that these two are grayed out. They could be based on tags, or it could be a LearnDash thing. So there's different ways to do it. But yeah, you can definitely show, like, here's my main course that you can get into now. The other ones are either grayed out or they don't show up at all until they're done with the other course. That's the thing, is there's different ways to. It's almost unlimited, really, how you can display content if you're using Memberium because of all the conditional shortcodes to say only show this if this, that, and the other kind of a thing. And I can help you with that as well, Catherine, if you reach out to me. A couple other questions. So I'm in need of consulting help to get organized. How can we implement all these tools? Would we be able to work with you? I have a membership site with all the content and it's doing well, but we need to move it into this kind of a platform for it to grow from here. See, there you go, Justin. She needs to LearnDash her content, right?
So let's see. It's still weird for me to hear, but yeah, maybe I need to start saying that too.
But yeah, Annie, right now we at Memberium are probably out till April just because Icon is coming up in a little bit. Justin, you guys do custom services as well, but you're also booked, aren't you? Or do you have openings?
We are booked, but we have partners that trusted partners that we refer people to. So if there's something that somebody's looking for that LearnDash doesn't currently do, I'm happy to point you in the right track.
Yeah, and same thing on this side too. I should say there are other partners, so same with Justin. Partners who can help you with Memberium, partners who can help you with LearnDash and all that kind of thing. One kind of general question, I'm assuming this is a LearnDash customer, they ask, is Infusionsoft translated into other languages or at least translation ready? What I would say, Elena, is that if it's what would you call them? A Latin-based language, probably. People do Spanish and Portuguese and French and that kind of thing, and Infusionsoft has ironed out a few of the kinks over the years with special characters and that kind of thing in their emails, but it doesn't go into any other languages. There's no character set for Chinese or anything like that. But German, so we've had customers and most of those kind of Latin-based languages and some of the related languages, but no, they don't support other character sets yet. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm just looking through. I'm kind of bouncing around through the questions, so making sure we got them. Okay, can we bundle courses into a package? So if we have 2 courses, can we pass a link to Infusionsoft to grant access to both courses, one for 30 days and one for 60 days access? And yeah, Martin, you can do that. And I'm sure there's a way to do it also with LearnDash, but in Infusion, if they buy something, you can easily apply 2 tags when they buy. And in the case of this tennis site that I've been showing you guys, they have a tag basically per lesson. So each lesson is protected by a different tag. And let me see if I can, none of those are in the admin view. I was going to say I could look at them in the admin view and kind of show you, but each of these, when I say this happens, then that happens, they're giving a tag which corresponds to the content that it wants to release. So it says, go ahead and give away the independent study footwork on this day. So you could do almost anything. I mean, right here where they buy, you could say, go ahead and give them 2 tags, and then you could set a timer that in 60 days one's removed, and another timer that in 30 days one is removed. And I may not be hitting exactly what you're saying, but just to give you the idea that, yeah, if they buy one thing, it can release multiple courses. It can do it based on time, because you can always add and remove tags however you want over time. So another question, now that LearnDash integrates with Infusionsoft through Memberium, does it mean it's a true open API? And Gina, it's kind of an interesting question, because with Memberium, it does have a full, Memberium is actually 2 plugins. There's the Infusionsoft connection, which is a true open API, and then it feeds Memberium. So yeah, if you're talking about the Infusionsoft API, then yes, you can run any Infusionsoft API call that you could anywhere else where you have an API connection within Memberium. So hopefully that makes sense, and if not, feel free to ask a follow-up question. Another one, can students work on several lessons at the same time but have checkpoints for those that they need to pass before moving on? That's kind of an interesting one. Justin, how do people mix forced, linear with non-linear?
Okay, I feel like those are mutually exclusive. No, but I think the best way to do that is in the quizzing, you can set quiz prerequisites. So you could open up the content, meaning you're not forcing lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3, and so forth. But your quizzes that you assign to a lesson or a topic, you can set those as prerequisites of one another. So you can still get, those could be the checkpoints, for example, but somebody wouldn't be able to complete a certain checkpoint until they complete the previous, its prerequisite quiz checkpoint.
Okay, cool. Another question, can we translate the text message on Memberium for foreign customers? And Carol, kind of related to the other one, as far as Infusionsoft goes anyways, they're going to support a lot of those Latin-based languages. As far as the text on the page, though, within WordPress, I guess I could see it where if somebody buys from an English-speaking country, you could give them an English tag, and then if they buy through some other language, you could give them a tag for that, and then have the tag have variable content. But that's I've seen people do this two ways. I've seen sites where they'll do a whole site in English, and then they'll clone it and translate it to Spanish. But I've never seen someone say, like, can we have one site, and then depending on what language they're in, show that differently. And that could just be my ignorance. Justin, in general, like LearnDash WordPress sense, do you ever see anybody doing that, having multiple languages in one site?
I have. I've seen it with WPML.org. It's a way for like the same content to be in multiple languages. So in the context of LearnDash, what I've seen is maybe somebody offering a course in English and Spanish. But I'm not sure exactly how I'd answer that question from a Memberium standpoint.
No, and it's pretty similar. But you guys, I know we're answering these questions kind of high level, so feel free to reach out to either one of us through our sites. Another question, can a user have multiple subscriptions in Memberium so they could be enrolled in the silver level and access the gold and all that? And yeah, that's exactly what it's made for people to come in on the free and upgrade to silver and then ascend up to gold and platinum and diamond and all that stuff, right? So definitely. One question for you, Justin, when will the essay type for quizzes be implemented?
I just saw that one and answered it. We have it slotted for the second quarter of 2015. In particular, getting to the quizzes. Now, as a general roadmap, we're focusing on. We have two enhancements coming two rollouts, I should say, for the certificates. One of them is our next update that we are doing final testing on. So we'll have additional certificate shortcodes and functionality, as well as some shortcodes for the courses. And then when we get into that second quarter, we're going to look into the quiz, and we have some ideas around there. So I know it's kind of a broad timeline, but as software tends to be, sometimes things don't always go according to plan.
No, that's good. That's good. And there are some more questions. What we'll do, guys, is we'll respond by email. So we get a whole list of these, and we'll respond by email if any of these haven't been answered. I know we're about 10 minutes over, and there's a piece or two that we didn't cover. One thing that's funny is Tom writes in, he says, "Okay, Micah, so how about a great offer for us today, buddy? I'm ready for the pitch." There is actually no pitch, but let me just mention one thing real quick, and Dave is on the line, but I'm going to summarize for you, Dave. Sorry, just so we speed through this and get to the end. A couple extra pieces with Memberium. You can do parent-child. So like this whole training thing is awesome. We're getting clients now who sell B2B, and so you sell a business owner, and then you tell them, hey, you can relicense all of your staff and have them go through the content and take the quizzes, and then you as an admin, essentially, you get a record of the children's activity. So we say parent-child, we really mean like whatever admin, sub-user, but just saying you can do all this same stuff, but not for the individual, for the company where they can put their people through. And that's a little custom thing, but that I think is kind of the next layer maybe that would go on top of this, is kind of relicensing and multi-licenses and all that kind of fun stuff. I'm sure there are other questions, but real quick, is LearnDash mobile compatible? Absolutely, right, Justin? The last one, why use LearnDash and Memberium?
Depend on
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say it depends on the theme you're using. So LearnDash is mobile compatible, but if your WordPress theme is not, then it's not going to work on mobile devices. Now that said, most WordPress themes now are mobile compatible, so it's nothing to worry about.
Yeah, pretty much. Essentially what Justin is saying is if your regular site was mobile compatible, adding LearnDash it's still going to be mobile compatible. If it wasn't, it probably wouldn't be. Why use LearnDash and Memberium? The real thing here is it's if you're using Infusion. Obviously, if you're not using Infusionsoft, you wouldn't have any reason at all for Memberium. Just to be really clear, we only work with Infusionsoft. If you do, though, have Infusionsoft, you want to do any sort of LMS or tracking or any of the things we talked about, it would let you use the two together and do more than just, the basics, because Justin does have something where you can kind of integrate payments and this kind of thing, Memberium would just take it to where you have full Infusionsoft integration. And Justin, what would you add to that?
I think that's a pretty good summary. If you are looking for, I think the example site you gave was a very good one because it shows the power of Memberium in connecting Infusionsoft with LearnDash, creating not just the unique course experience, but just moving a user in multiple directions based on the tags and different messages based on activities, that granular level that is not controlled by LearnDash. With Memberium, that's possible.
Cool, thank you. And then guys, right at the end here, I just want to say thanks so much, and sorry it went a little over, but there were a lot of questions and a lot to go over, so I hope you don't mind. We'll send out the replay of this, and any questions we didn't get to, we'll send you guys a little private email. If you're interested in Memberium, you can go to memberium.com/LD for LearnDash. For LearnDash, you can just go to LearnDash.com, and again, you can ask either one of us questions. We're happy to help. And again, thanks for coming. And Justin, thank you so much again. Really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, pleasure to be here. It was a lot of
fun. All right, everybody, thanks so much, and we will talk to you soon.